Welcome to the sixth American turn of my solo playthrough of Axis and Allies Revised. The Americans finally attempted a landing in France from the south, but it actually went horribly wrong. The Germans only lost a single infantry, and the Americans lost their entire invading force. The Germans rolled pretty well, and the Americans didn't roll that well. There were two infantry and artillery, a tank, and a fighter, and it didn't work out. Well, fortunately for the Americans, they do have some follow-up forces for a follow-up landing, so probably it will work next time. Of course, the Germans will go first and they can reinforce the area, but of course, if they send this infantry to France, which will be the minimum they will need to stand a chance of holding it, that infantry won't be sent to the east, and knowing that the Russians go first, well, there might not be a huge force left in Eastern Europe either. Although the Germans have some options here as well, because they're actually at the moment stronger than the opposing Russian forces in Caucasus. But again, of course, the Russians go first. Anyway, back to the American turn. They also bombed the German factory, but they only caused 1 IPC of damage. They also bombed the Japanese factory again. They rolled a 4, but one bomber cannot cause more damage than the IPC value of the territory. So it was actually reduced to 3, but that's still a lot considering how low the Japanese are on IPCs. They landed the bomber subsequently on Caucasus. They also moved 1 infantry into Novosibirsk. In hindsight, I should have used a tank for that. They probably could have done with 1 fewer tank in the attack against Western China, and then this one would have turned into a Russian tank, which they could have used in a counterattack. Then again, that doesn't happen until the place units phase that you actually convert those units. But still, and the Pacific looks horribly empty. This transport took a run for it, fearing the Japanese fleet over here. Of course, once they actually make some inroads against Germany, they will be able to move their entire fleet here via the Panama Canal to the Pacific, and they make as many as 56 IPC at the moment, -2 for the German subs, so that's still 54, so they can build up a pretty impressive fleet on one turn, really. Well, nothing to match the Japanese, because I didn't do the math, but this is much more than 54 IPC's worth of units here. But again, once they start moving over the units from Europe, and well, yeah, it's easier said than done, because so far they haven't made too much of an impression. The British, however, will undoubtedly also take on the German fleet probably and try to land some units of their own. So let's see how that goes. But these last 2 turns have seen, well, I wouldn't say a turn of events in the sense that it really gives the Axis a fighting chance again, because it really doesn't seem like that. But there have been some very surprising events going on. The invasion of France going wrong, and on the Japanese turn, the Japanese completely wiping out the American fleet while not losing a single unit of their own. What did they buy? They bought a bomber. They are planning to continue the bombing offensive on Germany as well. On the next turn, as many as 3 bombers. Well, these 2, but the turn after, 3 bombers could take place in it. Take part in it. I'm sorry. And the invasion of France probably will succeed next turn again, unless the Germans devote a pretty substantial amount of units to the defense of France. Southern Europe seems reasonably strong. That will cost the Americans dearly. If they do invade, of course, they cannot land more than 4 units there at a time with air support, because they don't have enough transports to do anything more than that. So yeah, that will actually prove pretty difficult still. I suppose they need to build up a bit more. Unfortunately for them, they didn't build any new transports, and these will have to first return, so they will probably have to build some more transports as well. So some interesting developments here. Thank you for watching.